Hi, welcome back to my channel. So you probably already saw the picture. So this guy stands up on all fours. He's built all in one piece. These legs are not sewn on. They're all in one piece. And if you're a beginner, you know what? Don't be afraid of this. This is so super duper easy. You're gonna be sorry you never tried it before. So if you are a beginner, give it a shot. My tutorials are quite easy to follow. So I'll be gentle with you. I'll walk you through every step of doing this. I'm not going to leave you on your own. But this is a Highland cow. So I was asked to, somebody saw a picture. Somebody else had designed a Highland cow. It's on Pinterest. I actually saw it on Pinterest because that's where the link took me, was Pinterest. It's got a big swooping tongue coming out. Now, I didn't like the tongue, so I didn't do the tongue. But somebody saw a picture of a Highland cow. Actually, it was quite a few people. My husband's cousin being one of them, and then some subscribers to my channel, and then a friend of mine. And so by the time my friend had posted, had tagged me in this Highland cow thing, I thought, okay, I'm going to make this Highland cow. So I did. I designed this Highland cow. So it's really nothing like the picture. It's very different from the picture. They did all their hair is crocheted. I just used this big chunky stuff. And I know it's a blue color, so it's probably, but this is the thick and quick. So I just used this on my clown. If you watched my clown video, I just used the same hair on my clown. It was just a pumpkin color. This color here is succulent, is what it's called. And it's Wally's thick and quick. So it's a 6 bulky. And that's what I use for the hair. This one is going to be black because my Aunt Susan saw my Highland cow picture that I posted on my Facebook page. And now she wants one in black. So I'm going to do this one in black for her. But you can pick any color you want. Any color you want. So let's just jump right into this because it's going to take a bit. I'm going to have some chapters in here. So it's going to be one video. It's just going to be different chapters. We're using A4 millimeter because this is amigurumi. So you got to go down whatever your yarn calls for. You need to go down in hook size. So figure out what yarn you're getting and whatever hook you're using. I'm using a 4 millimeter, and I'll meet you right back here. So I'm using this black color. This is a tweed. I think Craft Smart might make it, or maybe it's Bernat. I'm not sure. I really only use those two. But I could have, well, I mean, this is a loops and threads, big hairy stuff, so maybe, I don't know. I don't know what it is. It's a tweed. I can tell you it's a tweed. I'm going to use this taupe color for the hooves and maybe the horns, but I'm not sure. I might not. I haven't decided. I kind of just make it up as I go. This calls for a 5.5 millimeter hook, but I'm still using my 4 because I want it to be nice and tight because it is going to be amigurumi. First we have to make a body bridge. And what a body bridge is that. So we make the body bridge, and then after we make all of our legs, we sew our legs to the body bridge. And then we just crochet around and make the body. So it's pretty super duper easy. So this is what we're doing first, which is a nice flat piece. No magic rings involved or anything. So chain 11 and do 10 single crochets. So that's my 11 chains. So I'm going to do 10 single crochets back up because that's all I have as working chains is 10. I'm going to cough. Hold on. Okay, I had a bit of a coughing fit. All right. So 10 single crochets is all the working chains we have because your 11th one is still on the hook. You would think I would just start the video over, wouldn't you? But no, we're just going to leave this in here. I like to keep my videos real. I don't like to, you know, when I screw up, you guys get to see it. When I have to fix mistakes, you guys get to see it. Alrighty. My cake isn't wanting to feed. So for the next 23 rows, that is it. I'm going to tighten my little straggler guy here, and I'm just going to kind of bring him with me while I do my 23 rows. So for 23 rows, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 10 stitches. It goes pretty fast because it's only 10 stitches. But if you have one of these, they're pretty handy dandy. So this is called a row marker. You can get them at Walmart, Michael's, Hobby Lobby. You can get them anywhere. And they do your counting for you. You just put it on your finger. And then you just hit the button. Hit the count button. That's your reset button. And if you can't hardly see it, that's your LED light button. So handy dandy. So for the next 23 rows, I'm going to put my pause screen up so I will see you on the other side of that. So that's my 23 rows. So you can fasten off. You do not need a sewing tail. You don't need anything. We're going to still be attached to a leg when we start to crochet, so this just gets cut off and weaved in. This whole thing is going to be easy peasy for beginners. The best part about adding chapters to your videos is that you can take your time and you can teach properly and you can show everything, because it doesn't matter if it's a short. You know, I used to always say, oh, I'm going to speed this up to make the video shorter, and you know, now I don't really have to because now I'm putting chapters in, so I can take more time to show more things and not speed through it. But at the same time, if you are you know, somebody that's been crocheting for years and you don't really want to follow a tutorial because you already know how to crochet, I give away free PDFs. As long as you become a member and you join a membership on my channel, yes, it costs money. It'll cost you $5 a month to basically get all my PDFs for free. I generally sell PDFs on Etsy for more than $5 each. So it is a really good deal, but there's two options to join a membership. You can join for $2.99, which is $3 a month, and that'll get you early videos, and if I ever go live, it gets you, you know, emojis, shout outs, stuff like that. But you will get early videos. The $4.99 one, though, you get free PDFs. So I make these little videos, and in the description is the file link to the free PDF. And all you have to do is just go click on the file, and it'll take you to the PDF where you can print it off for yourself. And it'll cost you $4.99 a month to join a membership. I will put the video up right now and show you where you can find the join button. So this is my 23 rows. This is my body bridge. That's what I call it. I don't know if that's the technical name for it, but we can just set this aside. So we are going to move on to the cloven hooves and the legs. So it may be really hard to see that these hooves are cloven hooves, which means they're like a knuckle, right? They got two pieces. But it's super duper easy peasy. I'm going to start with this taupe color though, because I don't know what's going on with my cake. I want to make his hooves this brown color, and then I'll do his body. Like, his body's black, right? So I think it's just fair to say his hooves should be a different color other than black. So get your whatever color you're using and make a magic ring. So if you don't like the magic ring, you can just do chain 2 and then you can put everything into the first chain. And you're going to put 6 single crochets in there. So whether you're using a magic ring or just the chains, pull that closed. They'll both look exactly like that, so it doesn't really matter which one you do. We're not slip stitching, we're not chaining 2, we're building an amigurumi, which means we're just going to go right into the first stitch and we're going to start building. So this next row is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch around. You're going to need a stitch marker. We get a green one, nice green one you guys can see. So after the first stitch, that's where your marker goes. And then you can put the second stitch in that same space. And you're going to do that all the way around. 2 single crochets in the same space. You should end up with 12 stitches when you're done. That's my 12 stitches. This ball doesn't want to feed either. Oh, looky, that's why. Okay. Now that I've made a mess. So make sure your middle is pulled closed. Last thing you want is this to open up. I am going to weave my tail in, but if you're new to this, don't try to struggle to do it because it doesn't have to happen. But put your first stitch in with your marker. We're going to do 1 single crochet increase all the way around. So that's already your 1 single crochet. So your next stitch gets the increase, which is 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, all the way around. You'll have a total of 18 stitches when you're done. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. So that's number 1. This is number 2. And then this next stitch gets your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. 1, 1, and 2 all the way around. So at the end you should have a total of 24 stitches. So this next round is going to be a little bit different because we have to kind of shape the hoof, but it's still going to be easy peasy. We're going to go into the back loops. So as you're holding it right now, if I can come in, I can't zoom in. I'll zoom in more with my editing. So as you're holding it right now, these are your back loops. These guys right here. These are your front loops. These guys down here. So in the back loops, I want you to put 7 single crochets. Well, we're going to do back loops all the way around. So let's start with our marker spot in the back loop. I use this finger and the kind of the side of it here to push my loop onto my hook. I don't try to get my hook into the loop. I do it the other way around, if that helps. So this is my 7 single crochet. And now I'm going to do 1 single crochet decrease 3 times. So that's 1 single crochet and then my decrease. So everything's being done in the back loop still. So go in and pull up a loop, go into your next back loop, pull up a loop. You should have three loops on. Yarn over and pull through all 3. That's a decrease. Oh, I'm snagged. So that's 1 decrease. One single crochet decrease. We have to do this 3 times. So go back into here and do 1 single crochet and another decrease. In the back loops only. 1 more time. 1 single crochet and a decrease. And then I want you to do, sorry, my camera loves to shut off at the best times. And then I want you to do 8 single crochets in the back loops only, all the way back to your marker. So it puts this ridge around it. These are all the front loops we never touch. That's the ridge. And it'll take it from a hoof to a hoof. And that's why we do that. So now, as you can see, we've got the flat part, and now we're raised to start the hoof area. So you should have 21 stitches. For the next 4 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet, and that's the whole entire stitch. We're not doing back loops anymore. So for the whole entire stitch, 1 stitch in each of the 21 stitches for the next 4 rows. So this is just about my 4 rows, but I want to change colors because I want to go to the cow color. So I'm going to go into my last stitch, and I'm going to finish that last stitch with my cow color. Take that off. And of course, this is generally what I do, just so I don't have to weave. I don't like to weave because I feel that it makes the one part thicker than the other part. I absolutely don't like it. I prefer making a knot. A double knot. And cutting my crap off. Cutting my crap off. You heard me. So just enough to tuck it down in there with the stuffing. So far this is your hoof. And you're wondering how the heck does it get to be cloven? I'll show you in a bit. First we'll build some of the leg. This next round after your color change is just going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 21 stitches. Alrighty. So we're going to do, I need this to be a certain size. So I did a 2 single crochet decrease. I did that 5 times. So that is my 1 single crochet. That's 2 single crochets. Now this decrease, sorry, I had to sneeze. I know this is going to be hard to see because it's black, but do you see where my needle's going? That's a front loop, because these are our back loops. Remember, we already worked into those? Now we're going to work into the well, you don't have to do this. So this is just a suggestion for decreases. Working into the front loops, because that makes it invisible. So just into the front loops. I'm going to use invisible, because it cuts down on the gapping, so your holes are super duper small and nobody ever sees the decrease. So I'm going to go into the front loop, and then I'm going to pop around and go into the second front loop. I didn't yarn over at all through there. Now I'm going to yarn over and pull through those 2 loops, and then I'm going to finish the stitch. So that's going to be my decrease, and that's what I'm going to use throughout the project. So we have to do this 5 times. 2 single crochet decrease 5 times. So you can use your marker or your counter for this too. So that's 1 time. 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets, decrease. That's 2 times. 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, decrease. So front loop, yoink, front loop, pull through, finish the stitch. That's 3 times. Single crochet, decrease. That's 4 times. Single crochet, decrease. That's 5 times. This last single crochet, just put a single crochet in there. You should have 16 stitches, and that's the number I kind of needed you to have. Before we do our next 8 rows, that'll finish the leg. Let's make this a cloven hoof. So put some stuffing in this. So try to make sure this stays flat. You don't want that to be all bulged out. Pack it down like it's the final stuffing phase. Do you know what I mean? Just make sure that stays flat. Alrighty. You're going to get whatever color you use for your hoof. You're going to cut a little piece off. So, I don't know how long that is, but, you know, you get the idea. So, thread your little needle. This shouldn't be overly visible. Try to keep your marker at the back for just about every project you do, but you can see where we kind of went out and shaped it. So you're going to kind of follow that logic, which, of course, my marker's generally at the back anyway. So you're going to go through the magic ring and go up to about, I don't know, the second row from the black or whatever color you're using. Now don't pull all the way through. Keep this little guy at the bottom. Now come back down, yep, in the front, and go through there again, and through there again. I just went through my yarn. Don't go through your yarn, but go back up the same hole. So that, of course, that leaves you this lovely little thing, and you're going to pull, just like that. Now it's not going to stay. You got to do it a few times before it actually stays. So again, just make sure it's overlapping. Pull. So now it stays a little bit better that time. And that's your cloven hoof. So, you can go a third time. I don't think I need to really. I was going to go a third time, but I'm not going to. So just come down and you're going to tie these two right at the bottom. Right at the bottom. In a double knot. As tight as you can because you don't want to see that line. And then you weave these guys away. Just don't use the middle, don't use the magic ring to weave because that's where you were going in and out of. So pull that down. And I'm going to come over here. Just try to stay as close to your lead as possible, just not into the magic ring. I'm going to come over here, pull that down. So that's the bottom. You can't even really tell that there's anything there. And then your cloven hoof. It looks better from this angle because you can kind of see it better from this angle. But I mean, you can see it. You can see yours. And that's it. You can just cut these off, and that's how you make a cloven hoof. So, sitting down, I know it's hard to see with that black there we go. So sitting down, that's what it'll look like. Anyway, for the next 8 rows, you should have 16 stitches. For the next 8 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 16 stitches. And then you can fasten off. So I'm going to put my pause screen up for the 8 rows, but I'm going to come back because there's a few things I need to tell you before I leave you to build the other legs. So let's build our 8 rows, and then I will meet you back after that. So this is what you should have. I haven't stuffed mine yet. But you should have 10 rows altogether of your black. So we need to stuff this little guy. Now he'll look bigger after we start building him, after we start building around the body bridge. He will look bigger. Right now you're probably going, oh my god, how short is this Highland cow? Highland cows aren't like regular cows, so let me start with that. They do still exist today, but in the Highlands of Scotland. I'm Scottish. My family is Scottish, so I don't know if that's why everybody was tagging me in this Highland cow thing. And my husband is Irish and English, I think. I think his family is Irish or English. Anyway, that's good enough for me as far as. So just make sure. So every leg, every next leg, except for the very last one you make, you fasten off of. Don't fasten off the last leg because we're going to use that just to continue building with. But that's going to be on my pause screen. So just make sure you're aware that you need to read the whole screen. What's going to be on it? Okay, let's do one thing at a time. Let's fasten off with this guy. So fasten off. All you need is a little sewing tail, because we're going to sew this guy to this guy, but only on one side. So we're not sewing them like that. We're sewing them like that. It's awkward, but it's super duper easy. So you need enough for maybe 4 or 5 stitches. So make it decently long. You know, the extra can always just get tucked away. It's not a huge big deal. So we don't need to do anything fancy with that. Just set that aside. You're going to make 3 more of these because he has 4 legs. Clearly, the last one does not get fastened off of, because once we sew all these guys to our body bridge, the very last one, we're just going to start crocheting around and building his body. So we need it still kind of, not kind of attached, we need it attached. The next strings you're going to see is, the next one is going to have the pattern to build the hoof and leg. So this whole thing, you'll see it in different languages, obviously. It's only going to be up for a second, so you have to hit pause on your language and wherever you want to be. Then right either at the bottom or on a separate screen, it depends on how much I can fit in. It'll probably be a separate screen. It'll say, do not fasten off the 4th leg. So you got to make sure you read that. It's super duper important. Now, if you do accidentally fasten off, you can always reattach. It's not a huge big deal, but it would just be better if you just didn't fasten off the 4th leg. So I know I'm repeating myself and I'm being annoying. So let's just jump into the pause screen. Hi guys, welcome back to chapter 2. So I got all my legs done. They didn't take long. They're just short little guys. They will look bigger though once we start building the cow. They will look bigger. Right now they look way too short. So I'm still attached to this one here. We need to get our body bridge because we're going to sew our legs to the body bridge. So, grab a leg. Which one was attached? Okay. Grab my... So this is awkward to do. First of all, we'll do the ones where the tie is actually on the right side, or the straggler. Let's start with that. So I'm going to try to stay on camera. So make sure your foot is facing forward and it's straight. Now I always get one foot that's off, not that it's noticeable. So you basically are just going to hold this here. So this front has to be lined up to the front of that guy. Do you see what I'm doing? So once you get it lined up, you just sew into it. So all the way across. And this is a raw edge over here, so you don't have to go stitch for stitch or anything. So just sew across. I'm going to put one last stitch in here. And then I'm going to kind of sew a little bit back on myself just so I can make a little tiny knot to secure all that. This will be on the inside. It's not really going to matter if it just hangs there, but I mean you can tuck it down if it's a big deal for you. So let's take leg number 2. Easy peasy. I know it's intimidating for beginners, but if you don't try it, you'll never know how easy peasy it is. So again, just kind of line the back up with the back. You don't have to be super duper exact. Just make sure your foot is straight. So I usually screw up, like I said, one of my feet. Now, our counts are probably not going to be the same because I didn't even count to see how many stitches I was using. So I think I'm far enough over, and then I'm going to go back on myself a bit here just so I can tie a knot. But this is completely your decision, so our counts may not be the same, but that's okay. We're going to get around that easy enough. So, throw that out. So I got my 2. Pretty sure my feet are straight. So this guy, of course I'm not on camera. So this guy here, his thing is way over here. So this is where we kind of have to move our thing. So there's a number of ways you can do it, but going straight across I would advise against. I use the back loops just like that, just so I can still get into the stitch this way when I'm crocheting. So I think I just used 5 there. Again, make sure your feet are straight. So I came over too far, so I'm just gonna back up on myself a little bit. And then your last foot goes on, and that's where we're going to start crocheting from. So this is my loop that I've saved. This is where I start. So again, just make sure your feet are straight. Okay, my camera keeps acting up and I don't know what's wrong with it. It just keeps stopping filming. I don't know why. So I'm not sure what it's filmed and what it hasn't filmed, but I'm about ready to sew my leg, my last leg, which is still attached to the ball. I'm about to sew it in place. I have a piece of yarn because I use cake, so I can use from the inside and the outside at the same time. So I've gotten myself a piece of yarn. I put a slip knot on this end, and I've threaded the other end. I'm going to make sure my foot is straight, and I'm going to sew this to this, just like I've been doing with everything else. The only difference is this wasn't already attached to the leg. So go through the slip knot, and you're going to pull that and tie an extra knot. So all this yarn is just going to sit down in there because we're stuffing all of this eventually. So it doesn't really matter. So now that all your legs are on, we're going to do one single crochet in each stitch around. Now over here on the sides, you don't have stitches. So you just kind of stick your hook. This is a row. You can stick your hook there, and then in between the rows, like there are places, and it's easy peasy. Here there's stitches, and around your legs. So you're basically going to, we'll start here. You're going to single crochet around the leg, just like when we crochet on arms and legs. I don't know if you've ever done that with me, but it's the same concept. So you're going to do one single crochet around the leg. Make sure you stay fairly close so there's no gapping. Down here, around the leg, across the bum, around the leg, down the side, around the leg, back to your marker. One single crochet in each stitch. So we're not doing anything fancy. My numbers originally were 97. They're probably not going to be the same. My numbers will never be the same when I sew stuff together like this, just because of the way I sew it. It changes probably every single time. So I have left myself a stitch before I have to go into the body bridge. So I'm just going to put my marker there. And then from here I go directly into the body bridge. Stitch right on that corner. And try to keep everything nice and snug. So I am putting the counts from my initial design on the pause screens, but I will tell you the counts I got on this one so you can see the difference due to sewing on the legs. So mine was 102 stitches. You know, you do different stuff every time. You share stitches, you know. Everything's always different, so it's no big deal what your numbers are right now. just make sure your math is going to work out when after you do your decreases and, you know, what have you. So just tucking everything away so it stops getting in my way. So our next round, we're going to do some decreasing here and here mostly. So I don't know if I'm going to be belting out too many numbers or just telling you what to decrease, because I don't know what your counts are. So, but I do know that we're going to decrease this front part and the bum part and somewhere in the middle part. So I want you to do 2 single crochets. And then we're going to do a 2 single crochet decrease 2 times. So you should be just right here in the chest part. If you're not, then just kind of go over there. If you are not at the chest part, just do 1 single crochet in each stitch until you get to the other side of that leg to start the decreases in the chest area. This is super important. So I'm right at the very beginning of this chest part. So 2 single crochet decrease. So 1 and 2 and then a decrease. I'm going to do in my front loops because I don't want it to be, I want it to be invisible. And you're going to do it a second time. So it should bring you all the way over to this leg here. So now I want you to do 15 single crochets. I'm giving you numbers, but we'll see if we end up in the right spot. So 15 puts me down on the side, and I'm pretty sure that's where I wanted to be. I built this a while ago, I designed this a while ago, so I'm pretty sure this is where I wanted to be. And I'm going to do 2 single crochet decrease 3 times. That's 2 single crochet, and then my decrease, which is invisible. That's once. That's twice. And this is my 3rd time. So that's all the way down the side, just about, of my cow. So now I want you to do 15 more single crochets. "15 puts me at the end of this leg, beginning the butt. So the butt, I'm going to do 2 single crochet decrease 2 times, just like I did with the head of the cow. That's 2 single crochets and a decrease once, That's twice. And then 15 single crochets around to the side. So this brings me sort of kind of around to the side again. I think I'm going to have to do one more stitch to get to where I was over on this side. I just want it to be even. So that's 16 stitches for me to come around. And I'm going to do 2 single crochet, decrease 3 times, just like I did on the other side. And then I want you to, well, I put down 12 single crochets back to your marker. So whatever you have back to your marker. Well, mine is 13 back to the markers. That's pretty close. There we go. So now all I want you to do is 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around, and I will see you on the other side. So I have 92 stitches. Original count was 87 stitches. So I'm still 5 stitches ahead. I've been 5 stitches ahead ever since I started the project. So I'm 5 stitches bigger than my last project. But again, it's still going to look like a cow. So whatever your numbers are, if they don't match mine, that's only because we've sewed it together differently. That's it. That's the only reason. You're doing everything absolutely right. So, I don't know if I have a foot turned yet or not. I have not checked. Okay, so we're going to start decreasing again. And again, we're going to decrease the front, the head part. This is where our marker is, so this is the head. And we're going to decrease the back. And this is, you don't have to put a marker back here, but I will tell you where you can put a marker, just so you know where you're going to decrease every single round, because our numbers won't be the same. So I'm going to start with 2 single crochets, and that's going to put me into the front part, but you don't have to do this if you are already there. So anyway, 2 single crochets for me puts me there. If that gives you any indication where we're at, it puts me right in the front corner of the leg. So 2 single crochet decrease is what I want you to do right here. That's my 2 single crochets and then my decrease. So the 2 single crochets that I initially told you are not part of the decrease. And then my second 2 single crochet decrease puts me at the corner of the leg. So that's why I did the 2 single crochets over here. But if you start yours at the corner of the leg, then you don't need to do those 2 single crochets. You just do both decreases to come back to the corner of the leg. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is what makes our stitches a little bit different because of the way I sewed mine on. And this isn't the front, this is the back, by the way. Because all my feet are pointing this way, so I'm an idiot. But again, it's no big deal. Generally, I do the front and the back as far as decreases go. So we are going to now, I know you can't see me yet, we're going to crochet all the way around till you get over here. For me, it was 37 stitches. I don't know what it's going to be for you, but when you get all the way over here, this is my front, apparently, because all my feet are pointed that way. Anyway, and going to do the exact same decrease over here. So right now, front and back don't really matter. We're doing the exact same thing. So again, I'll meet you around over here, but for me, it's going to be 37. Well, my last one, it was 37 stitches, so we'll see. So that's my 37th stitch. And I would say that's good as long as you're at the corner of the leg. So 37 worked out for me. So we're going to do 2 single crochet decrease again, which should span the entire corner to corner of your legs. That's 2 single crochet and then my decrease. Single crochet and my decrease. So I'm just about at the corner, and now I'm going to do, I wrote 34 stitches back to my marker, but I'm 5 stitches ahead, so it's going to be more than 34 for me, but just 1 single crochet in each stitch back to your marker. All right, so I'm back around, and whatever number of stitches that you have, I didn't count actually my stitches over here because I know that I'm already 5 stitches ahead, so I have 88 stitches all together. For the next 4 rows, you're just going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch around, so we're not going to be decreasing anything. But right now, this guy, how do I say this, should be proportionate. We've decreased everything exactly the same all the way around. So right now he still has no butt and he has no head other than the direction of his feet. So I don't even know what I was rambling on about before. So anyway, I think I have 88 stitches. I'm going to count when I do my 4 rows. But again, it doesn't matter how many stitches you have. It's still going to look like a cow. 1 single crochet in each stitch for the next 4 rows. If you don't have a row counter, they're dirt cheap. They're only under $1 at Walmart. And actually, Michael's is like, I think it's $1.99 or 99 cents sometimes on sale. Hobby Lobby sometimes sends you them for free when you order online, which I have to do because I don't have one near me. But this one I got on Amazon actually, so it has an LED. Not that anybody works at nighttime, but alright, so this is what you should have. This is what 4 rows is going to get you. So, see what I mean? Easy peasy. I gotta make sure my feet are straight. No, my one leg's gonna turn in. And my other one's gonna turn out a little bit. Yeah, I never get my feet right. Ever get my feet right. Anyway, no big deal. So this next round, I've got 88 stitches. But that's me. Again, I don't want to rehash this every round, but my numbers are going to be different because of how we sewed everything together. So the next round is going to be 8 single crochet decrease, and you're going to just kind of do it as many times as you can. And if you have extra stitches left over at the end, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of them if you can't get your full sequence in. So your sequence is 8 single crochets and a decrease. So this is number 1, always number 1 with the marker. That's 8 single crochets, and then you need decrease. Again, still doing invisible, and repeat. So continue with your 8 single crochet decrease all the way around. Whatever extra stitches you have, just put 1 single crochet in each of them. Alright, so I'm all the way back around. I completed my full sequences because I did my decrease under my marker. So I got all mine in. I'm at 72 stitches. So now I'm only 3 off of what my original one was. 3 stitches off what my original one was. So this is the back or butt of our guy. And this is the head because this is the way my feet are facing. I'm going to decrease just the behind in this next round and following rounds because I need to be able to bring this up, and then we're going to sew it together to make his body. So this guy, let me explain. His head is sewn on. And I'm going to show you how to do it so it looks just like this. But after all the hair we put on it, you're really never going to see where you sewed anyway. So it's not a huge big deal. The head is sewn on and there isn't much of a neck because it is a bull. And I have all the hair that's going on it. Or a bull. It's a cow. But it's a Highland cow, so it's the size of a bull. Like, it's a big guy. He's a great big guy that has no neck. So I didn't put a neck on this guy. So what we're going to be doing now is the next few rows, we're going to be decreasing just the bum area, and then eventually we're just going to kind of sew it up and be done with it. And then our head's going to be separate. So easy peasy. I'm just trying to make this as easy peasy as possible. Alrighty, so I'm going to count my decrease that I did under my marker as the first stitch. So just put your first stitch in. You're going to do 2 single crochet decrease 3 times. So that's my number 1. That's, oh, sorry. 2 single crochet decrease 3 times. That's 2 single crochets and then your decrease 3 times. So that's number 1. One more. And then 1 single crochet all the way back around to your marker. So once you come back around, your next round is going to be 7 single crochets and a decrease all the way around. So we're not just doing the butt now, we're doing the whole thing. So again, if you can't finish your sequence, then you can just either do what I did, if you have the same amount that I do. Put your decrease underneath your marker, or just put 1 single crochet in each of those. If you're following the PDF for this, none of my counts are going to change from the first one that I did. And the first one I did for round 12 here, I had 2 extra. I only was able to do it 8 times around, and then I had 2 extra stitches. So that's what you're going to see written in the PDF. All my numbers are in the PDF are going to reflect my first one that I built, not this one. All my numbers are going to be different, and it doesn't really make much sense to change my numbers for the video, other than they're not going to be matching. The PDF isn't going to match the video as far as numbers, but it will match as far as what we're doing per row, other than these decreases, because round 11 is different. Actually, round 11 was no different. I actually got the exact same numbers for round 11. Round 12 says 7 single crochet decrease 8 times and 2 single crochets. That means that in my last one, I did 7 single crochet decrease 8 times around, and then I had 2 stitches left over. So that's what that means. So if you are following the PDF, just know that the numbers that you're looking at in the PDF are not going to match the video, and they're probably not going to match what you're doing on your own stuffy. So this round is going to be 7 single crochet decrease as many times as you can do it, and then your extra stitches, just put 1 single crochet in each. So I am around as far as I can go. I managed to do it 9 times. I have 4 extra stitches. So I have 76 stitches for this round. So right now, your behind should be smaller than your front. So we're going to decrease the behind and the front only in this round. No other parts. So we're going to start with a 2 single crochet decrease 3 times for the behind. That's number 1. 2 single crochet decrease, that's 1 time. That's 2 times. That's 3 times. And then I have 21 stitches, so that'll bring it back, that should bring it back around to the front. That's my 21st stitch, so I'm right above the leg. That's where I am. And I'm going to do 2 single crochet decrease 3 times. So this brings you not quite as far as where we started. So kind of brings you part way. This is where I'm at. So if I make my thing even, it's like halfway around the leg. And I said 21 stitches back to the marker, but I have a feeling that that is not going to be the count. So however many stitches back to the marker. That's my 21, but again, I'm 3 stitches ahead. I was 5 until I did my decrease under my marker, and now I'm 3 stitches ahead. So I've got 3 more stitches. So I got 24 back around to my marker, and that's all right. Pretty soon we're going to start being able to stuff this guy. So this is what you should have. So as you can see, we're kind of coming up to closing the butt. This is going to start looking funny, but it looks okay once we start stuffing it. So your next round is, again, same deal, just 6 single crochet decrease as many times as you can get them done. Now I am keeping track with my marker or my counter on how many times I can do 6 single crochet decrease. So that's number 1. So that's 6 single crochets and then your decrease. Mine are invisible again, so front loops only. And repeat as many times as you can. So I am doing my decrease under my marker again because I only had 1 stitch left, and I just figure I'll just decrease. And then I can double count this. Should bring me closer to my actual count. So I did that 9 times. I have 54 stitches, and my initial count now, because I did the decrease under the marker again, I'm now only 1 stitch away because my last one it was 53 stitches. So I'm getting closer to my other count. So for the PDF you'll see you'll see that for round 14 I did 4 extra stitches because I only did my sequence 7 times to get 53 stitches. So we're just about at the right numbers. I have 52. So your next round is going to be just decreasing the bum again. I'm going to count my marker as number 1. It's 2 single crochet decrease 2 times. So this is number 2 for me. Decrease 1 time. 1 more time. That's 2 times. And then 1 single crochet in each stitch back to your marker. I have 45 stitches written down. So I had 45 stitches back to my marker, not 46. Oh no, I wrote 45. Sorry, I misread. So my counts on the PDF say I should have 51 stitches. But again, whatever stitches you have, as long as it looks like this, looks like a cow, you're good. All right. So your next round is going to be 5 single crocheted decrease all the way around, and whatever extra stitches you have, 1 single crochet in each of them. On the PDF it says I had 2 extra stitches, so we'll see. That's number 1. That is 5 single crochets and a decrease. So repeat this all the way around, and I will see you on the other side. So that's as far as I can go with this sequence. I have 3 extra stitches left, which brings me to 45 stitches, and my first doll was 44 stitches. So getting close and closer to the end. We're gonna do one last row and then we're gonna sew it up. So our last round is just going to be decreasing right here, and then just 1 single crochet around, and then we're going to stuff it. So 1 single crochet decrease 2 times. That's 1 single crochet and a decrease 1 time, 1 single crochet and a decrease 2 times. So I have 38 single crochets, about whatever you have, back to your marker, and then that is it. I need 39. I need 39 stitches back to my marker. So we're going to fasten off. You need a bit because we're sewing the back up, so you need a long sewing tail. Probably not quite that long, but so let's stuff this guy. This guy takes a long time to stuff properly. So my suggestion is start digging holes. So pushing out, pushing out, pushing out, and then fill a hole. That's my suggestion, and then you just kind of pack it down. So you got to make sure you're getting right into those legs. Important, 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 super duper important. So do you see how the legs look bigger now than the little stubbies that we started off with? So make sure you're getting it all down. All 4 legs should be just as sturdy. And then I'm going to pack the butt while I'm here. So while I'm sewing, I'm going to have to kind of stuff as I go while I'm sewing, because it's very difficult to gauge how much to put into the top part. So I'm going to start So if you know how to sew really well, then that's great. I do not. I do not sew very well, but I'm going to go into this next stitch. Oh, and I hate all these fuzzies from the... So I'm going to grab this stitch and then go back into this stitch. So I just want to start with the 2 stitches on the end just to make sure that they're... And then I'm going to kind of branch out from there. Sorry, it's hard for me to do that way. We're going to have a bit of a bump here, but so I'm just going stitch for stitch across. So you don't have to pull with every single thing. Just make sure you're going into the right stitches that you need to be in. And like I said, you're going to have to probably you're going to have to be stuffing and sewing all kind of at the same time. So I do a couple of stitches and then I pull, just in case there's a reason I need to pull this out. So you may want to get some stuffing up underneath there. It doesn't really matter how much you get up underneath here, whether you can see your stuffing through or not, because this is all getting hair. Keep that in mind. No one's ever going to see this because this is all getting hair. So just make sure it's kind of decently full. The head is getting sewn to this, so. So you got a little bit of a bobble that kind of sticks up here, but that's easily remedied. We're sewing ahead to it, first of all, so no one's going to see it. So make a knot, go through the loop, pull that down, and then I'm going to go down into that top part of the bubble, and I'm going to pull back. So it will pull that down, and again, it does not matter if there's a divot, doesn't matter if there's a bobble, because the head is being sewn to this area. Because he basically doesn't have a neck, because he is a great big Highland cow. All this is being covered by hair, so again, it's not a huge deal. No one's going to see it. So this is what it should look like. just gonna make another small little wee knot just for added security. I don't want my thing to pop open. No one's ever gonna see this knot because I'm gonna weave again. And when I weave, it'll pull that knot inside, just like that. I didn't need all these stitch markers that I had. So I need a couple stitch markers for the next round. Sorry, that's red. I know it's hard to see. Change colors. Blue. Because we're doing the top jaw and the bottom jaw separately. I'm not sure why there's a little pull there, but... Oh, there's another little pull. Some fuzzies. So this is what it should look like underneath your body. So hopefully your feet are straighter than mine. So my one is turned in. My back ones don't seem too bad. They're both pointed kind of out. It's hard to see. Let me put those in. My back feet are kind of pointed out a little bit, which is fine because they're both doing the exact same thing. This one's turned in and this one's turned in. So I got my back feet pointed out and my front feet kind of pigeoned out. So it's hard to get it to be perfect. So when we come back in chapter 3, we're going to be making the head and then putting the head on the body. So make sure for chapter 3, let's set him aside, pull my other guy over, that you have 14 millimeter eyes. That's what those are, is 14. You can even go as high as probably 16, because this is a pretty big head. So make sure you have at least 14 millimeter eyes. So we'll get that done. And then like I said, this just gets sewn on, and we're going to be using a mattress stitch or a grafting technique. No, I think I'm going to use the mattress stitch. That's what I did for this. I just went around a couple of times. So if you don't know what a mattress stitch is, you might want to maybe watch some videos. I don't have any other than what I do in my own videos. I show you in my videos. I still will show you in this video. But if you wanted to kind of get a feel for it before we get to chapter 3, I did not put a tail on this guy because he's got so much hair. It didn't really matter. So the head is going to be in the next chapter. Hi guys, welcome back. We're on chapter 3, I think. And this is where we start the head. So the head is built separately and sewn on. So this is the part we're starting. These are built separately and then crocheted together. So easy peasy. So you're going to start with whatever color you want the front of the nose to be. So whether it be white, brown, that's what we're starting with. Mine's going to be this. So mine's going to be the same color they did my feet with. So you're going to start with a slip knot. You can make it any way you want. You're going to chain 9. We're building the top jaw, so it's a little more squared off. So, on your way back down, I want you to do 1 single crochet increase 3 times. So 1 single crochet. You can mark that if you want. Now let's just mark that just so you can see what's going on. Just for beginners to understand. 1 single crochet. And then your next stitch gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. So that's 1 time. You got to do that 2 more times. 1 single crochet. increase. One last time. Your next stitch is going to get 1 single crochet, and then your very last stitch, you're going to put 4 single crochets in that last space. So you see how it's arced around and I've just kind of followed it? So this is what you should have, a nice curvy little kidney bean shape. I've followed the curve around. Now this is my slip knot here. So going into the stitch, this is my slip knot. Going into the stitch right next to the slip knot, I'm going to do 1 single crochet increase 3 times. Same thing we just did on the other side. Hard when it's curvy. So we're back up to the top where my stitch marker is. Go into that stitch and you're going to do 4 single crochets in that same space. Actually, I just did 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochets in that same space, and that's going to match the other side. And now, in the back loops only, I want you to do 22 stitches all the way around to your marker. In the back loops only. I had 21 stitches. So 21 stitches is what I had. I weaved him in a bit, so I'm just going to cut my thing at the back off. Not that it matters. So you should have 26 stitches all together, according to my thing, but now that I'm 1 stitch short, I'm going to have 25. But into the full stitch, you're going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch around. Yeah, I had 25. So, PDF users, it'll say 26. If you have 26, that's great. I have 25. So, I either miscounted when I wrote it on my computer or I miscounted here. So, no big deal. 1 stitch isn't going to change the look of it or anything. So your next round is going to be 2 single crochet and an increase. That's a weird noise. So normally this went around evenly, but I don't think I'll get it around evenly with 25 stitches. So I'm going to have either an extra stitch or... So that's number 1, that's number 2, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. Your next 2 rows is 1 single crochet in each stitch for 34 stitches. So I've done my 2 rows. This is what you should have. It's a very square upper jaw. So you can fasten off. One of the 2 of the jaws need to have a sewing tail because we're going to sew the 2 ends together before we crochet them together. So the bottom jaw is going to start with a magic ring. And you're going to put you're going to put 8 single crochets in this magic ring. That's my 8. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch. So after your first stitch, that's where the marker goes. Then you can put stitch number 2 in there. 2 single crochets in each remaining stitch. And at the end, you're going to have 16 stitches. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and an increase. That's 1 single crochet. I'm going to weave my end in, but you don't have to do that. And then your next stitch gets an increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. For the next 4 rows, I want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 24 stitches. And I will see you on the other side. So this is my 4 rows. I'm going to fasten off because we crochet these 2 ends together using our cow color, not this color. So I've got a little bit of a sewing tail here, so I'm just going to fasten off here normally. Try to make this look a little bit better. Since we do work in amigurumi, so we work in a spiral, so I want this to look a little bit better. So go into this stitch and then come down, and this stitch right behind where you just fastened off, go through the front loop of that and pull. So that just kind of fabricates a stitch, evens stuff out a little bit, and then you can just pull it through and tuck it in or weave it in or whatever you want to do. So this gets sewn to this, and then we use our cow color to start the crochet. Where I fastened off, I'm going to kind of tuck in here and use it for part of the sewing, just because I don't want to have to deal with it. So you're just going to kind of eyeball it. But these stitches are kind of turned over, so you're going to have to come in on the diagonal. So that's 11 stitches across from me, and that kind of leaves 2 at the corner here, 2 at the corner here. So, but you can do whatever the heck you want. It's your project. So I'll make a knot. Tuck all that down in there too. So if you wanted to stuff these a little bit, you can, but it might make your life a little difficult. So you could take your cow color, and we're going to reattach. So this is the top, this is the bottom. It doesn't really matter where you reattach, but I would choose a corner. Maybe not that corner. Maybe one past to where a corner starts, just so you can put your stitch marker in. To reattach using a single crochet, but we're going to put a single crochet in that same space. Your reattached first single crochet is going to be small, pulled in, pulled down, so we actually need a stitch there. So I just want you to put one single crochet in each stitch around, and then we'll talk about numbers. So it's the same as we did before when we did our legs. You run out of stitches on the one, you're just going to pop over to the other. That's my 21st stitch. You can share a sewed spot if you don't want any gaps. So that's my 22nd stitch, and then I'm going to pop across to my jaw. So I shared a sew spot just so I don't have any gapping. That's my 38th stitch. I'm going to share a sewed spot. Oops. $39. and then I'm going to pop across. So that's 40. So I have 40 stitches around. And that's what I had with my first one too, was 40 stitches around. So we're going to do an increase of 3 single crochet increase 5 times. That's it, only 5 times. That's number 1. That's 3 single crochets, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat 5 times altogether. That's 2 times. That's 3 times. That's 4 times. That's 5 times. And now you're going to do 20 single crochets. Back to your marker. There. For the next 2 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 45 stitches. And I will see you on the other side. So we're going to keep increasing. So your next increase is going to be 4 single crochet increase, and we're only doing that 5 times as well. So I'm increasing more for the top jaw and not so much for the bottom jaw. That's why we're doing weird stuff right now. So that's number 1. We're going to do this 5 times. 4 single crochet increase. That's 4 single crochet, counting your markers 1. And then an increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. That's 1 time. That's 2 times. Three times. Four times. One more time. And then it's going to be 20 single crochets back to your marker. Sorry, my battery died. I'm doing my 20 single crochets. Alrighty, so we're going to do 5 single crochets, and then we're going to do another increase. That's 5 single crochets. And now I want you to do 5 single crochet increase 3 times. So that 5 single crochets is not part of it. Count another 5. That's 5 single crochets and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. We're going to do this 3 times. So that's number 1. And then you can do 26 single crochets back to your marker. So what I did right there is this is your mouth, this is your nose. This was just the increase because we're right at the bridge of the nose. So for the next 4 rows, you should have 52 stitches. The next 4 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 52 stitches. And I will see you on the other side. So this is what it should look like at this point. It's like this. So I haven't stuffed it or anything, but time to put some eyes in. So my guy is black, so I have to use some felt. So I got some white felt that I gotta make circles with so that I can put around the eyes so that you notice them. So, but I mean, you don't need to do that if you're got a regular color going on. I didn't do that with my guy here. I just stuck the eyes in. Let's stuff part of this first, though. Give it a better shape than what it has. So I would first start with filling in the jaws and then doing the rest. So this top guy is pretty square. He's meant to be square. But they're not meant, it's not meant to be ginormous either. So you just got to be very careful on how much goes in there. So that's kind of the idea. It's got a big face. So I still got lots of room to stuff this, but I don't think I'm gonna continue to pack it down. So, according to my notes, I put the eyes between the 3rd and 4th row at 9 stitches apart. 1, 2, 3rd and 4th row. I have 14mm eyes. So I gotta cut my other circle. The circles don't have to be exact. And then I just fold it in half and get a little snip Now you can do it the other way too to make a cross if you wanted to, but and then just shove that down through that hole there. And then you can trim off whatever you want to trim off after the eyeball's in. And then I said 9 stitches apart, or 9 visible stitches in between. Yeah, I think mine look pretty good. I think I just want to trim off a little bit here. Make mine is a little more evener. I should have used brown, but the tip of his horns are going to be white anyway, so I'm happy with that. So I'm going to put my backs on. And please, if you are using safety eyes, please use the backs. They're safety eyes to protect children. So I see too many tutorials of people just going, don't worry about the backs, or we're just going to glue this in. But no, please, just put the backs on. We're not that lazy in this world, are we? Yet. So you can keep stuffing this, but I really wouldn't, because it's going to be hard to hold. So I just wanted the front stuffed, and I'm probably still going to mess around with him until I get the look I want. But they've got very big features. So let's move on. We start decreasing now. Our decreases are going to be strange because we're trying to build a head, right? So it's not going to be your normal. Well, it never is normal on my channel, right? Okay, so our first decrease is going to be 5 single crochet decrease, because that's kind of like the last increase I left off with. We're only going to do that one time here. So 5 single crochets, and I knew I was going to come out of that. 2, that's 5 single crochets the extreme hard way. And then your decrease. So I'm just using my front loops again for my decrease to make them invisible. So now we're going to do 22 single crochets. I might have miscounted when I slipped up there. I always forget what number I'm on when I slip up. Am I just counting the 13th stitch, or have I already counted the 13th stitch? So I screw up too easily doing that. So now we're going to do 5 single crochet decrease 3 times. And then you should have 2 extra stitches left over. That's number 1. And 2 single crochets left. So this should give you 48 stitches. Next round, It's going to be 4 single crochet decrease one time. That's number 1. When I do these chapters, and they're so long because I'm actually doing a full tutorial, my camera doesn't have the patience to stay on. Anyway, that's 4 single crochets and then your increase. So we're only doing it one time here, just like the last round. And we're going to do 22 single crochets, and then we're going to decrease again. This is my 22nd stitch. And now I'm going to do 4 single crochet decrease 3 times, leaving me 2 single crochets at the end, just like the last row. And then 2 single crochets. This brings you down to 44 stitches. Your next round is going to start with 3 single crochet decrease one time. That's 3 single crochets, and then your decrease one time. And then you're going to do 22 single crochets, and then you're going to do the exact same thing we did, just with 3 single crochet decrease. That's my 22 stitches. And now you're going to do 3 single crochet decrease 3 times, bringing you back around where you're going to have 2 single crochets left before the marker. And then 2 single crochets. So you should have 40 stitches. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochet in each of those 40 stitches. Alright, let's keep going with our decreases. And we're going to do another 1 single crochet after this one too. So we're just trying to kind of lengthen it out a little bit. So this next one is 2 single crochet decrease. And we're going to do it the exact same way as all the other ones. You're going to do 1 here. So this is number 1, always number 1. So that's 2 single crochets and then your decrease. And now you're going to do 22 single crochets. And now you're going to do 2 single crochet decrease 3 times. Three times, and then your 2 single crochets. Oh, this cake does not want to feed. So you should have 36 stitches. And your next round is going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 36 stitches. So your next round, we're decreasing all the way down. So this next one is going to be 1 single crochet decrease 2 times. So we're changing it up just a little bit, but we're going to continue. Decrease. So even though this is a 1 single crochet decrease, we're not done our decreases. So 1 single crochet decrease 2 times. It's a little bit different. So that's once. And that's twice. And then you're going to do 18 single crochets around. So that's my 18 single crochets. Now you're going to do 1 single crochet decrease 3 times. And then your 2 single crochets. Oh, I got 3 single crochets. Oh, I wrote that down wrong. Which should give you 32 stitches. I'm going to change that in my computer. Just so your PDF matches what I just did. Alrighty. So, now we're going to do 2 single crochet decrease all the way around. So whatever extra stitches you have, which according to my notes should be 3, but we'll see. Just put 1 single crochet in each of those. So 2 single crochet decrease all the way around. So that's 7 times around, so I'm at 21 stitches, and I've got 3 single crochets extra, which gives me 24 stitches. I think we should probably put some more stuffing in this, because we're going to close it up pretty soon. So up here in the nose bridge area, I want you to make sure you're putting enough stuffing up there. Because this is going to be the big part of them. The big blockhead part. This part and this up here. This is why we did all this work. Was to make this the big blockhead part, so. So, this is what it should look like at this point. Let's continue. So we're going to do 1 single crochet decrease all the way around. It should fit. You're going to do it 8 times to get 16 stitches. So that leaves me with 16 stitches. I've got one more weird little decrease to do. So I'm just going to put some more stuffing in here. Make the back of my head round. Really just trying to accentuate this part of his head. So this is what the hole should be, way up here. It should go like this. Okay. So our last round is going to be 4 single crochets. Find my stitch. Black is so hard for me to see. That's number 1. That's 4 single crochets, and then I'm going to do 1 single crochet decrease 3 times. Three times, and then you should have 3 single crochets left. This will leave you with 13 stitches. This is where we fasten off, and then we're going to cinch the rest shut. You just need a cinching tool. I apparently need some scissors that cut. So if you don't think that your head, that you need more stuff, you can certainly continue to fill that. I think I'm good. So you're going to go in the front loop and out the next front loop. And you're going to do that all the way around. You can skip one if you don't want to hit every stitch, but it is only 13 stitches, so. So once you're all the way around, you can just pull. So I like to secure that cinch, so I like to pop across the hole, go through my loop, wiggle that knot down, and then come this way, pop across the hole, go through the loop, wiggle that down, and then from here I just weave. Oh, I knew my needle was going to do that. It always does. So go in as close as you can to your lead for weaving. Pop through the yarn if you can, because it makes weaving a lot more secure. 3 times, 3 different directions. If you pull too tight, just kind of pop it out. And there we have it. Our head. So now we just got to sew it on. So you can sew it on with his head looking up. You can sew it on with his head down. Keep in mind, all this is going to have hair. So it doesn't really matter what it looks like as a raw animal, because it's all going to have hair. I've got these really long sewing needles, and that's kind of what I use to keep the head in place a little bit, but it is quite difficult to do this. So I'm going to do my best, because I'm going to show you how I did the stitch I did, the mattress stitch. So you need some long piece of whatever color your cow is, and a needle, thread your needle. So don't worry about the other end. We're just threading our needle now. So make sure this guy is exactly where you want him. I'm gonna have his head turned a little bit. So what you're gonna do is, I'm gonna have to lay him on his side a little bit. How am I gonna do this? Okay, can you see? This isn't gonna be easy to show you. So I'm not gonna show you for long because it's not gonna be easy. So I'm gonna grab a couple of pieces. I gotta stand up for this. I can't see what I'm doing. So I'm gonna grab as close as I can to the head. I'm gonna grab a couple of pieces of post. So don't pull your piece all the way through. You want to leave some out and hanging, okay? You don't need much, enough to tie with at least. So I've grabbed a couple of pieces of post, and now I'm going to grab a couple of pieces of head. And I'm going to try to make it even. Can you see that? And that's what I'm going to do all the way around. And then when I come back, so you don't necessarily have to pull it tight right now, you can keep it loose. So again, I grab a couple of pieces of the body, and then a couple of pieces of the post, keeping it pretty close and down. So as you can see, my strings are still showing. I haven't pulled tight, and I don't need to pull tight right away. You can keep doing this so that it's easier for you to get in there. So then after I do this all the way around, I take, the reason I'm trying to explain is because I can't do this on camera. I take this and I take this and I pull as tight as I can, and that'll suck the head, right? It'll tighten up all these strings. It'll tighten up all these strings that I got here. It'll suck the two together. And then when I come around the second time, I go out further and up higher. Do you understand? And then I do the same thing. I pull, and then ultimately I come around and I finish by tying my two ends together. So I'll meet you back after the first round. It'll be easier to show you what I mean for the second round when the head's already secured. So I'm still in pretty close. I'm just coming around to this side now. And I'm still trying to stay pretty shallow. So I think that's good for the first round. So you're going to pull on these two pieces. So this is what I'm sewing with, and that's what I left hanging out. Pull until you can't pull anymore. And that brings your head right down, but it's still wobbly, right? And this is why we go around a second time. So the second time we go around, so now that my head's a little more secure, I can show you better. So, and you can pull on these individually too to see, just to make sure it's as tight as you can possibly get it. So we go around a second time. Now I'm going to come out further on the body. Here, let me zoom in. So I'm going to come out further on the body, and then I'm going to go up higher on the head than I did before. So there's my string. There's my string from the last one, because that's not going to stay tight until I do this next round. So that's my string. So it's out further and up higher. So again, I'm going to come out further. So now I'm out here. And up to the same height. Try to keep the same height as what you just did. And we're going to continue to do that all the way around. So try to stay where you came out and where you go up. Try to keep that at least even. Oops. So this one you can pull as you go, and it gives you an idea of how you're sewing your head on. So now my head is completely turned to the side, but that'll even out when I come back around here. So I pull as I go for this second round. But I also want to make sure I pull his head down so he's not looking up. So I'm going to go into this chest area and higher up on his jaw, but not quite in his mouth. Can you see that? Not quite in his mouth area. So I don't normally take the time to teach anybody how to sew because I suck, but, you know, newbies, they may not know what a mattress stitch is, and that's what a mattress stitch is. So if you like your head cocked like that, you don't need to fix it on this side. You don't need to tighten anything on this side. But it's completely, see, my head is cocked like that, and he's super cute, but I'm not keeping him like that. So I'm going to make sure that I go out, just like I did on the other side, out pretty far and up pretty far. So it really does help to get your head where you want it. And because you don't have to pull right away, it's easier to rip out if you think you've made some mistakes. It's easier to rip it out. So I'm just kind of pulling after I do a few stitches. So my head is still turned a little bit, but if you guys follow me at all, you know that I love the head turn. So I don't think I want to really make his head turn anymore, so I'm just going to come in pretty shallow here, just like I did before. But I'm going to keep going because I want the strength behind it. Because you'll notice after this round, he won't be wobbly anymore. His head will be nice and firm. Had we given him a bit of a neck, yeah, he might be not too bad, but he didn't get a neck because he's a great big Highland Cow. And they don't have much of a neck. They're pretty much muscle everywhere. Muscle and hair. So I'm on my last go around. So I'm going to pull all my stitches. And now his head doesn't wobble at all. I mean, that's his whole body shaking. So there's no wobble to his head. His whole body will move. And that is how I sew a head on. Oh, and I love how it came out perfect. So after you're done, I'm going to tie these two together in a very tight double knot or a triple knot if you want. Once you weave and pull that down, nobody will ever see the knot. Well, no one's going to see the knot anyway because this thing's pretty hairy. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to pull down in this direction and pop out. Because we did the knot, you don't have to weave. And pop down, pop out here. So that knot gets sucked down inside your doll. And then you can just press and cut. If you press, you won't have any danglies poking out. Oh, let's do his little nostrils first. I got some white. I'm just going to use white. And then we can start his horns. So I just took a little piece of white. The nose was the hardest part for me to design because I did so many different ones and I didn't know what I was going to do, and I finally just came up with this. So anyway, I just put a couple of nostrils in, so you can do whatever color you want. Doesn't matter where you go in, just matters where you pop out. So I just did a couple of crooked ones, so I want my nostril to go here or here. So I just need to put my hook, my needle, wherever I want that piece to go. So I think I'll just do over here. And then I'll pop out up here where I'm going to do my second one. And then my second one I'll try to match. And then pop out somewhere. That's about all I did. I don't think you really need to be concerned about weaving, because I don't think anyone's going to purposely try to take your nostrils off, but you never know. Alright, let's move on to the horns and the ears, and then we'll sew those two on kind of all together. And then other than the hair, that'll be the end of the tutorial. So I changed my background. I'm going to start with white. So my horn is going to be white, and then this brown that I've been using throughout my guy. So we're going to start with a magic ring of 6 single crochets. Your next round is just going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 6 stitches. So you can use your marker if you aren't too familiar with where your stitches are. So just pull this tight. Let's start with that. Pull this tight and make a knot. This always opens up when you start so small. So make sure you push that knot all the way down. You can cut this off, but not all the way to the knot, because if you do that, the knot's just going to open itself up. And now you can kind of wiggle this around, pop it over. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and an increase, and then we're going to switch to our brown. So don't go into this stitch because this is an elongated stitch. You're already in it. It's just super long. So bypass that and come over here and go into this space. That's 1 single crochet, and then this next stitch gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. Do that again. You're going to do this 3 times around. One last time. And this will give you 9 stitches. So we're going to change to brown. So the easiest way that I change color is I'm going to back out. So I'm going to finish my last stitch with my new color. You can make a slip knot if it's easier for you to keep it on your hook, but just put it on your hook and then finish that stitch. Because I don't like to weave, because I think it adds too much bulk to one side of your project. I like to take these and tie them in a knot. But if you are new, I would suggest not doing this because you're not really that familiar with tensions and stuff like that. But I mean, if you do, you do. You can cut your white off now. Can't stop you from doing it, but just make sure that you're not pulling too super duper tight. So starting your next round, you're going to do 2 single crochet and an increase. So that's number 1. That's number 2. And then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same stitch. And you're going to do that 3 times around. Next round is just going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 12 stitches. So we need to turn it a little bit. That's how I got the little archy turns in my... So the way I turn things is I'm going to do 6, so you have 12 stitches, right? So I'm going to do 6 single crochets and then 6 half double crochets. And that's going to help me, let me show you, that's going to help put this turn in my horn. Did I say hook? I don't know. When I was talking, I don't listen to myself when I talk, so I tend to make mistakes. Anyway, that's going to put this little turn in my horn. That's what the next 3 rows is going to do, and that's what I'm going to do for 3 rows. 6 singles and then 6 half doubles. So that's number 1. So that's 6 single crochets, and now I'm going to do 6 half doubles. So yarn over, go into your stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. That's half double. Do 6 of those. Well, just do them until you get to your marker, which should be 6. And you're going to do that for 2 more rows. 6 singles, 6 half doubles. So, as you can see, this is higher than this is. Now our next rounds of 1 single crochet will make it turn even more, and then when you stuff it, you just got to make sure you follow that turn. For the next 9 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these, what should still be 12 stitches for the next 9 rows. And then I'm going to put the pattern up for you to do your other horn, and then I'll meet you back here. So fasten off of both with a sewing tail. So I'm just finishing stuffing my second one. So when you stuff it, you kind of got to shape it. I mean, it'll hold its shape because that's the way that we did it, but I got both of mine done. So just make sure that they're fully stuffed. We're not closing this. This gets sewn on open. So you do kind of have to make sure they're stuffed to the end. And I go around twice with this too because they're getting sewn on open. You kind of need to have the strength there to you know, keep it on the head. So I try to be we're not going to put these on yet. We're just pinning them. I'm going to show you because we need to kind of have the ears on first. It's really difficult. The ears kind of go where the horns go. So it's not the easiest thing to... So we have to kind of pin everything before we... So my head is turned a bit, so it's going to be... It's going to be awkward to look at, but... Kind of do that. So all the hair, keep in mind, all that hair is going to be there, but just try to line it up with your eyes a little bit. My head's turned, so I gotta put mine in a weird space. So let's set this aside for now because we need to do the ears. We're going to start with a magic ring of 6 single crochets. Come in. That's 6. So I want these ears to be pointy, so your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and an increase. And that'll help make the ears look pointy. That's 1 single crochet and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. So now you're going to do this 2 more times now. 3 times altogether. One more time. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 9 stitches. If you wanted to do the same thing that we did with the horn, you can tighten this right up. Make a wee knot. Make sure it's pushed down all the way if you can. So cut this off, leaving a bit of a tail. And then you can kind of just wiggle this around. So just remember that this stitch you're in is now elongated. So you're going to have to pop across to the actual stitch. And you're going to do 9 single crochets because that's all the stitches you have. So you're going to start increasing now that we've got this little point on the ear. You're going to do a 2 single crochet increase. So everything from here is going to be done 3 times. So that's number 1, that's number 2, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. Your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase. This will bring it up to 15 stitches. That's number 1. That's 3 single crochets and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. 2 more times. Oh, I screwed up somewhere because of that whole kerfuffle. That's okay, my counts are going to be the same. I just didn't obviously do 3 single crochets. Next round is going to be 4 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring it up to 18 stitches. That's 4 single crochets, so your next stitch gets the increase. 2 single crochets in the same space. Repeat. Your next round is going to be 5 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring you up to 21 stitches. Your last round is going to be 6 single crochets and an increase. Well, it's not your last round, it's your last increase round. So for the next 2 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 24 stitches and fasten off. So I will put that on my screen, and then I will put the ear pattern on the screen for you to make your second ear, and I will meet you right back here. So I am done my second ear, so I am just fastening off with a sewing tail. Out of the way. Okie dokie. So take your ear, thread your needle. Sure your knot is tight, and this is how I want you to fold it. So fold it so this is here and you've got a little bit here. This little bit here is going to get turned in like that. So then you can take this and whip stitch through. And now you got to make sure you're going all the way through this too. Like you're going through here. Oops. You're going through here. You're going through the middle. Like make sure you're getting all of that when you do your whip stitch. Now mine's up at high because I'm exaggerating just so I can show you, but I mean just make sure it's even. So you're going to whip stitch the fold into it. Oh, it's so hard to see because it's black. You can see kind of like that. And then when you're done your little fold here, I'm kind of done it. You're just going to continue to whip stitch your ear, the rest of your ear. So to do your second ear, the side that we fold over has to be on the bottom. So now I just want you to hold this second ear with your thing on the side over here. We're going to fold this in And then we're just going to whip stitch normally until you get to the fold, and then you got to make sure you go through all 4 pieces. I think I'm a little close to the eye, which means this horn has to move back a bit. And I mean, a bit is literally a bit. So, oh, that's better. So that's how I'm going to do mine. So these are so similar. I'm going to move this up a little bit. So the horn and the ears are really so close together to being even, Steven. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my ears off because I'm going to sew my horns on first. My horns get sewn on open. Okay, so once I'm done my second ear, I'm going to come down and I'm going to pop out the same hole as my other piece. That's what mine looks like. And then because I'm in the same hole, I'm going to tie a double knot. I'm going to cut it off, leaving some pieces sticking out, so leave some nubbies like that. And then push that down into the stuffing. So the consensus is that if anyone were to try to pull my horns off, that knot and everything will get stuck in there and they won't be able to do that. So I always like to tie my stuff together. So now you can kind of shape them, kind of push them down and bring them up. So they look like that. And they will stay there. So now the ears. So that's what it looks like at the back. That's what it looks like at the front. He is so adorable. So I didn't do a tail because of all the hair. So we're not doing a tail. So the hair. So go get your curly stuff for the hair. And I'll meet you right back here. That'll be literally the last thing that we do. Alright, this is what I use. This is what I got for my black. It's Woolies Thick and Quick. And it's just black. No special. Now this guy, you'll see on your PDF, I wrote down at the very bottom, this is Succulent. That's the color. If you're doing a bluish one, which I think the blue's cute. My aunt wanted a black one, so that's why I'm doing black for the video. So you just need to find out where this starts. I hate going from the outside. It's not how I roll my It's not how I roll my stuff. We'll find the start. So you're gonna need a Kleenex box and a big pair of scissors as well. So go get that while I'm struggling to find the middle. So this, you don't have to untwist. You're not gonna have to do anything with it but put it on, so. Big pair of scissors. These little snippy snips aren't gonna do it. You're gonna need a big pair. I got my Kleenex box. It's up to you how long you want your hair, obviously. Oh gosh, I just set that down and now I can't find the beginning. Oh, there it is. Okay, so I go this way. I wrap this way. And that was long enough for the hair. It actually doesn't take as much as what it looks like it takes. I only did 3 rows, I think, down both sides of the back. And I might have just done 3 rows on the head. So, I mean, we don't cover the whole entire body. Anyway, once you got some, I'm not going to do all of this with you, obviously, because it's going to be a really lot of work. So once you've got a bunch, you're going to cut through it, which is why you need the big scissors. And then you're left with this. So these little pieces that you might end up with, save those for the, like, the bang part, like the head, on the head, around the eyes. And then set this aside. Grab your dude. And you can start anywhere you want. I just started along here and along here. If you go, start in the center where you did your sewing. And then I went 3 down, 3 rows down from there, 3 rows down from there. So you got actually 7 rows up top. That's what I did for my other guy. And he looks like he has hair everywhere, but he doesn't. So we're going to start this way to do the spine first. So start up as close as you can to his neck. You're going to fold your, this is your length, you're going to fold it in half. So that this is even. Now this isn't super duper exact. You don't have to be exactly in half. Stick your hook through some spine. Put your loop on the end of your hook and you're going to pull that through. Oh. You're going to pull that through. Sorry, it's hard to show you. So make a little loop. So I've got a little loop going on over here. You're going to yarn over. And you're going to pull. Now I'm using a 4mm. You can use any size hook you want to do this with. I'm using a 4 just because a 4 works, even though it's bulky 6. And then you can tighten this any way you want. Just scooch the knot down, or you can pull it this way and tighten. I pull it this way and tighten because ultimately I let it drop on either side. So that's why I did it, but you can do whatever. So again, this doesn't have to be exactly in half, but just grab it and fold it in half. You don't have to go too super duper close because this is a bulky 6. It's going to take up some room. Unfortunately, you're going to probably pull up some fiber, polyfiber, polyfill, and then we keep going. So now we turn it. So now this is where I do my 3 rows. So I just flip all the hair over. It's all going to go back. I'm doing the same thing with how I hold it. I'm going to start over here just so you can see me better. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to pull up. And you can go as low as you want. You don't need to start right in the next... You don't need to start right in the next row because this is bulky. So I've skipped this row and I'm down into the next row, and I picked up that post. And I do the exact same thing, it's just I'm doing it around a post. So, because again, it's bulky 6, you don't need to do every single post. So I'm going to skip a couple of posts, just because I wouldn't even be able to get my hook in there, I don't think. And I'm going to continue. And I do that for 3 rows. So continue doing the hair, and I will see you in a little bit, and we will get the head done. So once you get your sides done, just give your guy a shake. His hair will kind of fall by the wayside. So you can give him a little trim if this is what needs to happen at this point. I'm going to trim mine up later because I'm not over a garbage pail right now, but you know, trim this longer stuff and whatever. But I just want to finish doing a little bit more on his butt, and then we'll get to his head. So I think that's good for me. That hangs down quite low on his butt. So his head and his chest. So for my other guy, I kind of unraveled his chest a little bit to make it fuzzy, but you don't need to do that at all. So we don't need to go really that far down on his head, and I know I'm really up high with my camera right now, but I think you understand what I'm talking about. Plus you can do whatever the heck you want to do. I started putting it on at the ears because some of this it's long, so I just started putting it in at the ears, like where the same row the ears are on. So GQ. So again, you can keep going down the back if you want. I'm going to do most of mine off camera. I'm just trying to show you the main parts. So then these little guys that you might get, these are where I kind of put them in the row in front. And then I kind of unraveled them a little bit to make them a little fuzzy. I snipped them short to cut them down, but so the last thing I need to do is trim, and I'm going to do that off camera. I've got all this hair left over. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with, but I've got a lot of the ball. Like, I got a lot of ball left, so all you need is one ball to do this project for the hair. So that's my guy. You know, it's probably super hard to see what I've done, but I mean, you can see your own guy. He is complete. I'm happy. I'm happy with how it came out. Thanks for joining me, guys. I'll see you in the next video.